The Asia Talent Cup celebrated 10 years last year, and there's a whole host of new names that are going on to try and follow in the footsteps of those who had come before. The current generation aiming to write their own bit of history. At round one in Buriram, we had plenty of fast battles and last lap classics. And in the end, it was Ogiwara who managed to come out on top. But the Lusail International Circuit is where we are this weekend. It's a wide, fast and flowing circuit, a little bit different to Buriram. Perfect for the riders to learn their craft and do battle just like in years gone by. We always see classics unfold during golden hour here in the Qatari desert, and the stories are never far away. Will the trio on your screen be doing it again, just like they managed to do in Buriram? You'd be hard-pressed to bet against it, but this is ATC. Good evening, trackside here at the fabulous Lusail International Circuit, just 20 kilometres from downtown Doha, Qatar's capital. The Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Qatar, obviously hosting MotoGP once again. But right now, it's about the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Round one was a absolute thriller, plenty of battles right until the checkered flag, and I'm sure we're going to get more of the same here today. Kiko Giles and Elliot York taking you through all of the action. It's going to be a belter. 12 laps of this Lusail International Circuit. How many times have we seen a proper duel happen here at this fantastic venue?
It does lend itself to fantastic racing, and fantastic racing is what the Asia Talent Cup is all about. Great to be back in action here for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup round 2 of the 2025 season. Of course, the first 2 races over in Thailand were fascinating to say the least. Both of them won by Ogiwara. However, he didn't have it all his own way. He ran very, very close indeed in both of those races. Seiru Ikegami, the Japanese sophomore who had a stellar rookie campaign last year, ran the number 16, who is on your screens there all the way in Buriram. And this circuit lends itself, you feel, a little bit better to racing than Buriram does. Buriram is a very stop and go heavy circuit. This is fast and flowing, is the Lusail International Circuit. Fantastic circuit to come watch the bikes at under the floodlights, makes it even better. So really looking forward to getting underway in the Asia Talent Cup. Race 1, of course, coming up in just under 10 minutes time, and race 2 tomorrow as well.
Floodlights have only just come on. Of course, we do enjoy some midday sun here in the desert for MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 practice and qualifying, of course, that you've just seen in MotoGP. But the floodlights have now come on as we go into golden hour. And whose golden hour will it be this afternoon? Just under 7 minutes until we go racing in the Asia Talent Cup. Your pole sitter is your championship leader, a double win at Buriram for Ryota Ogiwara. He is the rider they are all chasing.
Absolutely. 2 wins from 2 races. Ogiwara, he has podium pedigree here as well. Not in 2024 though, crashed out from the lead did Ogiwara while battling with eventual champion Zen Mitani, and then was unfortunately taken out at turn 1 in race 2 last year. But in 2023 he picked up 2 second place finishes. He was in the lead fight throughout last year as well, so he goes really, really well around the Lusail International Circuit, does the experienced Ogiwara. And in qualifying he was just under a second clear of anyone else. So it looks like the writing is on the wall in terms of victory, but we know better than that in the ATC. That is not how it works. We see in the races everything closes up, even if someone like Ogiwara has an extended advantage in qualifying. Don't expect him to have it all his own way.
Seiru Ikegami will be running him closest like in Buriram. And don't write off this rider here, Haruki Matsuyama, a podium in race 2 at Buriram, took the fastest lap as well. This is just his 3rd start. Obviously it's his first time here at Lusail, but the fantastic thing about this, 12 laps to learn the track, and if they can ruffle feathers with Ogiwara, there might be a chance.
Absolutely, they've got to try and get ahead first and foremost in the opening corner, in the opening lap. Don't let Ogiwara get into a comfortable race rhythm. But Ikegami, he was a podium finisher here last year in race 1, so don't count out Ikegami. I don't think that 8th, 10th advantage Ogiwara has is necessarily what we see, we're going to find out soon, of course, but Matsuyama, yeah, fantastic rookie performance over in Thailand in his debut front row, so expect the Japanese rider to be right there from the off.
Big drama at the back of the grid for Nopapong Bumpuaway. He is fourth in the championship, but has a grid penalty and will start from the back of the grid due to slow sectors. So that was during free practice too, not even qualified. So Bumpuaway, we saw he was right in the mix in Thailand. That was his home round, of course. He's going to have a lot of work to do here in Qatar.
Yeah, we're so close to the podium in race 1 over in Qatar. The podium fight, I mean. He still finished on the podium in P3, but he was chasing Zen Matani, that was last year. Ogiwara and Ikegami, the two Japanese riders, made a little bit of a mistake in the final stages over in Thailand, but still picked up that first podium in front of his home fans. So expect Bumpuaway to be hungry to fight his way up the order, and expect him definitely to be fighting well inside that top 10, I reckon.
Keep an eye on Tyrrell Fleming as well. This is by far his best grid slot. Previously the best was only P13, but he starts from the head of that second row here today. Fourth on the grid for him. In the middle of that second row, Shingo Idaka, who we're looking at now. It's his first time at Lusail, but he's had points in every race he started, so keep an eye on the number 21.
Yet another promising young Japanese rider in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. The future is certainly bright for plenty of countries over this side of the world and further afield, but especially Japan. Japan 1, 2, 3 on the grid, and then Shinjo Idaka in the middle of the second row. Qualified 9th in Thailand and did pick up the top 10 there as well. Wildcarded in Japan 2024 and was really, really impressive. Best of P5 last year, so Idaka really one to watch out for.
As is Sartak Chavan, the number 11. He goes from P6 on the grid. That's the second row of the grid. But heading up the third row, this rider here, Badly Ayatollah, so close yet so far in Buriram, particularly in race 2. It's his first time at the Lusail too, and he is a fast starter, so keep an eye on the head of that third row. Yeah, we saw that over in Thailand, didn't we? Ayatollah, a rapid starter off the line. He'll be hoping for more of the same, but he hasn't got as much work to do as he did in Thailand. Qualified 11th at round 1. He's a row ahead, spearheading row 3, so he'll be very, very happy to see that and have a closer look at the front row of the grid as Ogiwara just gets his final preparations in from the front row of the grid on pole position. Everyone chasing the number 16. Just completing that third row, Alfonso Dakigan, the Philippine rider. Of course, it's his first time here as well, but he started at Sepang last year, don't forget. So keep an eye on him, P9 and P6 of Buriram and Davino Britannia. But as you can see, it's Ogiwara on pole position. He is your championship leader with a perfect 50 out of 50 so far. Just before we do get underway, I want to talk on row 4, P10, Pancharuk Chitwiralchat. He's another fast starter, or at least he was for his home round in Buriram, so keep an eye on the number 24 as well. Yeah, absolutely. A couple of DNFs over in Thailand, so Chitwiralchat will be really, really hungry to get some points on the board this time around in Qatar. So do watch out for some pretty quick riders, some hungry riders coming from a little bit further down on the grid. Asia Talent Cup, race 1, 12 laps it's gonna be, 65 or so kilometres. They're all chasing Ryota Ogiwara, who's gonna go from pole, his first of the season. He's gonna try and make it his 5th career win and his 3rd of the 2025 campaign. Can he do it, or will he be stopped? We are about to find out. The visors slowly down in a second. This is your grid then for race 1 of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup here at Lusail. Ogiwara, Ikegami, Matsuyama. It's an all-Japan front row. Bit more of an international flair though on the rows behind. Fleming from Thailand, Idaka from Japan as well, but Chavan from India. So keep an eye on Chavan. It was his personal best on the grid. Previously, it was 7th. Chitwiralchat, we spoke about him. Fast starter. Fellow countryman Pratam Tong 2. Kairoli was a double top 10 finisher back in Buriram, all the way down the field until we get to Bumpuaway, Nopapong Bumpuaway, 4th in the championship. He's got serious pace. He was about 4.5 seconds ahead, quicker ahead of the riders ahead of him on the grid. So he's only down there because of that penalty. So keep an eye out on the number 20. Just to bring you up to speed with some bits of housekeeping, Ricky Henry is out with back fractures, but he's walking fine. They're fractures that have been found since, and he's been replaced by Bodie Page. And Archie Schmidt is out with a broken foot. So not good for the two Australians, but we wish them well and we can't wait to see them back soon. As you can see, It is the warm-up lap for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. The fans in the grandstand there on the right-hand side of shot. We are about to go racing at Lusail. Elliot, it is a long old lap, this one, around 4.5 kilometres, I think, in total length. I wouldn't want to run it. I know you certainly probably would. Where are the overtaking hotspots, the action hotspots, the pinch points here at Lusail?
The obvious one is, of course, turn 1 down the long start, finish straight. Plenty of slipstream, especially on these smaller Honda machines. But turn 4 is a popular one, the right-hander at the start of the lap. Then turn 6, a nice little left-hander hairpin. Then you go through 7, 8, 9. Not really too much room to try and make a pass there. But turn 10 before the back sort of, it's not really a straight, it's a curved getaway out of turn 10 up towards turn 12, and then you through the fast right-handers of 12, 13, 14, a magnificent part of this Lusail International Circuit, which builds you all the way up to turn 15, the penultimate corner. You can have a lunge there if you fancy it, a tricky pass to try and make, but we've seen it before and we might see it again today, and then it all lends itself down to turn 16. Not quite the same as Buriram's final corner, but nevertheless, at the end of the lap, you got turn 15, get it out of there as best as you can, and then the short run to the finish line, you've got to try and make a pass at turn 16, and we've seen across every class we see here, turn 16, the final corner, how many times the race has been won and lost down there.
Yeah, turn 10, another pinch point, as we've been saying. It's inviting a lunge on that last lap. We mentioned that 0.8 of a second gap from qualifying for Ryota Ogiwara over Seiyu Ikegami. Keep an eye on the 16 and the 14, but that 0.8 of a second gap with that huge front straight here, can't see, unless Ogiwara's got something in his back pocket, how that's going to have too much of an effect on what we're expecting to be a pack race.
Yeah, I think to be on pole by 0.8 of a second, Ogiwara definitely has something extra on these guys. He's much more experienced around here, of course, as well, which is going to help Ogiwara. But we know from Thailand and we know from last year that Ikegami loves a race. And if you can just cling on to the number 16, or even get ahead of him, of course, in the opening couple of corners and the opening couple of laps, then we've got a definite race on our hands. And who knows, maybe Matsuyama as well can cling on to the likes of Ikegami and Ogiwara. And don't count out anyone else in that sort of top 9 to just try and get a slipstream, because we see it so often, don't we? Once you're in a slipstream and chasing other riders, it's easier to try and follow and not just overwhelm that pace.
Predictions? Who's going to win?
I'm going to have to go Ogiwara to keep up his 100% record, but I don't think he's just going to have it easy. I think it's going to be a fantastic race.
I concur with my co-commentator here up in comms. You're joining Kiko Giles, me, Elliot York next to me for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. We have had 17 different winners here at Lusail in this class. Not a single one of them is starting this 65-kilometre 12-lapper here this afternoon. The Asia Talent Cup round 2 fires into life, and it's a brilliant start from pole from your number 16 of Ryota Ogiwara, so he's going to get the drop on all of the field as they charge down to this hard-braking zone at turn 1. It's Ogiwara from Ikegami, and I make that the number 21 of Hidaka up there in third. If he's slightly wide, yes he is, and the 13, we said to keep an eye on him. Badly Ayatollah, nothing bad about that start. That's your lead 3. We saw it in Buriram, and we're seeing it here in Lusail. Everyone's safety through the opening sector.
I was keeping an eye on the number 13, and he's going to have a look at the inside down at turn 4 on Ikegami. Is he going to go for it? Ayatollah, no, thinks better of it, but a fantastic launch once again. As Kiko said, we mentioned it in Thailand, and we've seen it again here from P7 to P3 in a matter of corners.
And P10 to P5, Chip Wirralchat, the number 24. We also said keep an eye on him, so if Chip Wirralchat could qualify maybe on the front row, he might have got an hole shot. This is down into that awkward turn 6, and that is why it's awkward. That is Haruki Matsuyama in his third start here in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. He looked like he tucked the front down there at turn 6, so your front row starter is going to not be a points finisher in race 1.
Oh, that's such a shame for Matsuyama. Had a fantastic rookie performance over in Thailand and a Davey front row start here in Qatar. He's trying to get help from the marshals to try and get their bike up and running, to try and get some more laps under his belt. Can he get it running? I think he potentially can. We're going to get a replay of it just in the picture there at the front, and the front end just washes away down at turn 6. A typical crash down there at the tight left-hand of heaven. Unfortunate for the number 2, but hopefully he can get back up and running, and thankfully he is all okay.
Yeah, good to see him up and okay. That's the number 6 down there as well. That's Shaf Murray's. He qualified in the middle of the 5th row. So there's been a bit of drama on this opening lap, but good to see that Matsuyama's back on his feet and back on his wheels, and maybe the marshals just needed to give him a helping hand. He's only a little lad, is Haruki Matsuyama, but we're back with the leaders. It is Ogiwara from the Ikegami number 14, and then it is Ayatollah. We said keep an eye on him from the 3rd row with good reason. Fleming held his grid position, 4th on the grid, 4th right now, but there is a gap forming, and it's your front 3 from Buriram who are doing it all again. On to lap 2 of 12. Bit of slipstream, I think, from Ikegami there. Does he get ahead of Ogiwara? Yes, he does. So change for the lead. It is now Ikegami ahead of Ogiwara. Badly Ayatollah watching on in 3rd, and that's a disaster for Nelson Cairoli. 7th in the championship. He's fallen. Let's hope he's all right in the number 17. Indeed, he's on his feet, but the bike looks parked.
It certainly does. Is that down at the final corner, I wonder? Good to see he's up on his feet, though. Started P12, so that's unfortunate for the number 17, but this is crucial, you feel, early doors. We did say Ikegami needed to disrupt the rhythm of Ogiwara if he's going to have a chance of trying to take the fight to Ogiwara. Such was the advantage the number 16 held throughout this weekend and in qualifying, and that is exactly what the number 14 has done so far, and fair play to Ayatollah. He's clinging on as well. A great launch from the 3rd row of the grid. Now P3, a 3-horse race at the front for now.
For now, I like how you add that in. I know it's a 2.6 second gap, but we have got 10.5 laps to go, so do not write off the chasing pack. If these 3 start to fight and squabble, naturally the chasing pack will be going quicker, so don't write it off just yet. The gap is 2.8 at the moment as they come through the 2nd split, but it is Ikegami ahead of Ogiwara. Now, we saw this back in Buriram, Elliot. Remember in race 1 it was Ikegami doing a donkey work, all for it to be gone to P2 by Ogiwara, who nabbed him on the final lap. He knows what's coming. Let's see if he knows how to deal with his rival this time around.
Yeah, they learnt a lot from Thailand, would have Ikegami, but so would have Ogiwara as well. Coming into this weekend, both of them full of confidence, as Ayatollah really clings on to the back of there. They really closed up through that fast right-hander section. Ikegami just potentially going a little bit slower there, backing Ogiwara up, but the 3 of them then at the front, you could throw a blanket over them. They're so close here towards the end of lap 2 as Ayatollah takes a good long look behind him. You've got about a 2.8 second gap, pretty much 3 seconds now, so these riders have got their head down as Ayatollah just keeps it on the straight and narrow at the end of lap 2.
Yeah, Ayatollah probably looking behind him and thinking, I don't believe it. A clear view, looking over my shoulder in the Asian Talent Cup. Am I in the right championship or what? He's pulling out. He's got a big 2-bike slipstream and he's used it to his advantage. He's going to just get ahead of Ogiwara and just get ahead of Ikegami. So for the 3rd lap, we have a 3rd different leader. This time it's Ayatollah. So Ayatollah from P7 to P1 so far. Then it's Ikegami. Then it's Ogiwara. And yeah, the fastest lap of the race. That's pretty academic, I think, for sure at this early stage. Ayatollah will be looking to try and get his head down here and put some space in between the dueling Japanese behind him, but I'm not quite sure he's going to have it that easy because they're already trying to snap right back at him.
Yeah, rightly so as well. Ayatollah then a great move. That's a typical Qatar, a typical Lusail move. Grab a hold on a slipstream down the front straight, pull out of it, and then grab the lead into turn 1. Now what is the sort of pace at the front going to be? Ogiwara, this is what he didn't want, and this is what we expected to happen. And this is what we wanted to happen from a neutral's perspective in terms of the race, as the 21 of Idaka runs slightly wide out of the turn 6 hairpin. A great battle going on for P4, just about 3 seconds behind these trio.
I think he was a bit polite there, slightly wide. I was going to go completely wide. He was way off track. So Idaka, the number 21, having a good ride, started 5th. He's running 5th at the moment. Let's just give you a quick update on Nupapong Bumpaway, who had to come right the way through the pack. He's already up into 11th place following that penalty. Of course, that penalty should only be for race 1, not for race 2. Incident involving Shaf Muriz and Nelson Cairoli under investigation, and that'll be to be reviewed after the race. So obviously a little bit of contact there. We didn't see it on camera, but we did see Cairoli up and walking away. Long look over the shoulder from Ogiwara. He probably can't believe it either that he's got a big gap, big 3.2 second gap back to the riders behind him to the front. Oh, hello, Padney Ayutala running off wide. Does he hold on? A lot of riders running out wide there, so I don't know if it's maybe a bit windy. I feel for sure Ayatollah does not want to lead onto the front straight, but I'm just wondering there for a little bit of strategy coming into it.
Absolutely, tactics aplenty there then. Ayatollah did not want to lead onto that front straight, but he's cost him a little bit of time. He's getting a decent amount of slipstream there, but clearly Ayatollah did not want to lead onto that front straight. Ogiwara said, thank you very much, I'll take the lead, but he's not going to hold the lead into turn one. Ikegami up the inside into turn one, so the Japanese rider leads for the first time in a lap, but is Ogiwara going to hang it around the outside? Of course he is. Coming into turn two, that's an aggressive move, but a clean one. Into the lead goes Ogiwara.
It's an aggressive one for lap 4, that is for certain. I'm not really sure what Ayatollah was thinking there, because it's very early to be doing that kind of tactics, and okay, you might not want to lead onto the straight, but I'm not sure it's going to make too much difference. We notice how the slipstream works, so you're not really keeping cards to your chest about everything there. So a couple of questions maybe about Ayatollah, but he's in third and he's still in the lead group.
Maybe he just wants to follow these riders. He knows that they're a bit more experienced, especially Ogiwara, so he can learn a two or thing from them in this race. But by running wide, he's cost himself time down the straight, and he's losing time on this lap as well. So we'll be intrigued to see what the thinking was there for Ayatollah. Incidentally, the gap back from Ayatollah to
Pratham Tong. That's Pratham Tong out. He was in the top 10. Disaster. Tanachat Pratham Tong, well, that is turn 6, is it? Did he go down at turn 6? No.
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Turn 6 or turn 7, I would say it is turn 6, yeah. So caught out a couple of riders already as turn 6, but yeah, as I was saying, Ayatollah just losing touch on this lap. He's lost half a second, you can see there from your TV screens as well. He's lost half a second on this lap, and that seems to be growing, but what isn't growing is the gap between Ayatollah and Idaka. Watch out for Idaka, he is closing in.
He really is. I was just about to say about that. It was 3.1 through the third sector last time around. It's 2.3 at the moment. So if they carry on reeling them in, there might be a little bit of a battle coming Badi Ayatollah's way. So he's looking down at the bike a little bit as well. So I'm not quite sure what's going on for Ayatollah at the moment. He's going to have to try and figure that out with 9 laps to go. It'll be 8 laps to go when they come down across the line. Don't forget, the line has been moved. This was the first time we saw it here last year. They're going to cross it there. There it is. So Ogiwara with the fastest lap, but generally speaking, very, very difficult to slipstream by the checkered flag, by the finish line, but obviously by the old finish line, which is the start line, there's plenty of potential, as we see as Ikegami takes the lead from Ogiwara down in towards turn 1 again.
Not much between the top two then in terms of last lap times. As you saw there, Ogiwara setting the fastest lap, but less than a tenth between Ikegami and Ogiwara. A 2:10.7 for Ayatollah and a 2:10.6 for Idaka. So Idaka closing in by over a tenth of a second, but Ayatollah on this lap time, I think he's just stabled the gap slightly. So maybe just a couple of mistakes on that previous lap cost him time. But if he can get his head down and get into a rhythm, because as we know, the number 14 and 16, the two Japanese riders, are going to start battling very, very soon. So Ayatollah definitely not out of this victory fight as of yet. Not yet
at all. Just outside the top 5, it's Dakigan ahead of Bodhi Page up there in 7th place. Davino Brittani in 8th. Bumproy is now up inside the top 9. He's just gone ahead with his fellow countryman Chip Wirral chat. So that's your top 10 as it stands on lap 4 of 12, of which we are on lap 5 now. We've completed 4. Important here in the ATC 2/3 race distance. We'll tell you when we get there, but it will be on lap 8 for this race. 2/3 of 12. Even by my awful on-air maths, I make it 8.
I'm not going to argue with that. My maths is not great as well. Calculating calculating a move, though, will be Ogiwara in this race. He's just shadowing Ikegami. He looks pretty comfortable in doing so as well. Ikegami and Ogiwara, to be fair to them, both look pretty comfortable. Doesn't look like they're on the ragged edge at all, as we just see Ayatollah in the background. He has closed in on this lap time, dropped a tenth of a second through split 2, but through split 3, he's back within 8/10 of a second. So this potentially is going to be a personal best lap of the race, potentially quickest lap of the race for the rider in 3rd place. We'll get him over line and see what happens.
Let's see how that number 13 is. It's side by side at the moment between your two leaders, your two rivals, Ikegami and Ogiwara. The gap between Ayatollah and Tierin Fleming has come down to 1.6, so there's a lot of life left in this race just yet. Don't write it off. Ikegami holds on down towards turn 1. He's still got the advantage. This is your battle for P4. It's still Fleming ahead of Hidaka this time around? Yes, it is. The 21 has to yield. It's 5th for them. Then it's Dakigan in 6th place, number 22 Filipino rider. Keep an eye on him. He's about 5 seconds adrift of the race leaders, but 2.8 back from this battle, and I just wonder if it's a nice little carrot dangling for him to try and latch onto.
Fleming on the number 10 bike then, the fastest rider on that lap compared to anyone else. 3 tenths faster than everyone in front of him, 4 tenths faster than Ogiwara. So Fleming has got some great mid-race pace here in this race. And as you can see from your TV screens then, Ikegami still doing away from Ogiwara, but Ayatollah has recovered that gap that he lost a couple of laps ago. It was over a second on the previous lap, but now, as you can see, it is anything but a second. He's right there with them. No point looking at the gaps on your timing screens, because that is as you were a couple of laps ago. So this is great stuff from the 13 to reel back in the 2 Japanese riders.
Yeah, he's right back on him. This is up through turn 10. We're going to go through the long left here of turn 11, but we have got a 3-horse race right at the front of this as we hurtle towards half race distance. This is up through turn 12, and I tell you what, Elliot, that's getting close. That's Fleming on Hidaka. That's the battle for fourth. They don't want to be battling too much. They're doing a cracking job in catching your leaders. I just wonder, we saw this in Buriram, Ikegami and Ogiwara sandbagging a little bit, be very on apt here in Qatar to be sandbagging, but we saw the battle kind of concertina up over in Thailand, and in the last couple of laps it did spread back out, so they'll have to be careful though. Then it was only a couple of riders, now it's going to be a 5-rider group as we see Ayatollah once again lurch to the inside, but not this time around.
It's number 20 of Bunkraway that we're focusing in on. Live Championship standings, look at that, it's closed in of course, but with 6 laps to go, that's going to change lap by lap, corner by corner, let me tell you that. We'll get the number 20 over the line. He's up to P7 from the back of the grid, so good stuff. But as you can see from the timing tower, Ayatollah has taken the lead, which was unfortunately been missed, but we're getting a nice battle at the front. Here we go then. It's looking like a 5-rider fight on this lap. I do dare say this is fantastic stuff in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, but it is Ogiwara still leading the way from Ikegami.
We said that the 8 tenths of a second advantage for Ogiwara would be kind of neutralised when we get to go green, and it has been for the time being, but we are at half race distance now, 6 done, 6 to go, and this is building up very, very nicely here as the sun sets and the stars are about to come out. We've got battle down here at Lusail in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup here at the fantastic venue. This is the overtake we're going to see. This is a slipstream job from Ogiwara to get back ahead of Ayatollah and then Ikegami.
Yeah, nice little slow-mo down into turn 1, what we missed just a few moments ago. I'm just wondering if Ogiwara has sensed the danger. Obviously, Ikegami and Ogiwara go in slow compared to their standards on the last lap. They lost around about a second to Ayatollah, but I'm just thinking Ogiwara is just seeing who's around him, seeing Ayatollah has closed the gap, and now with 5.5 laps to go, is Ogiwara pulling the pin? You can see from the TV screens that the top 2 are pulling clear again of Ayatollah. Is this now the part of the race where the top 2 break clear?
We said that maybe it was concertining up a little bit too much here. At the moment, it's your top 5 covered by less than a second and a half, so there is still the potential for them to battle, but again, Ayatollah just making a couple of mistakes here and there. The number 13 rider, he's done a great job to come from the 3rd row up into the top 3 on track, but he's just got to iron out these errors and try and go with Ogiwara and Ikegami. Let's see what the lap times were. It was 2:12.6 last time out. Yeah, they've dropped the times massively. 2:10.1 Ogiwara last time around. Interestingly, Fleming and Hidaka both quicker than Ayatollah in 3rd place. Ikegami just holding on down in towards turn 1. Ogiwara sitting tight in 2nd for now.
Beautiful fast sweeping line there from Ikegami. I was convinced he was running slightly wide, but got it hooked onto the apex good and proper did Ikegami, so he retakes the lead. But as we were saying, clearly just maintaining a gap, maintaining pace at the front were Ikegami and Ogiwara, and now it seems like they've pulled the pin. Ayatollah is going to struggle potentially to go with them. He lost a full second to Ikegami on that last lap, sorry, to Ogiwara on that last lap, as Ogiwara again looks behind, and then so does Ayatollah. So They're not full focus on the front. Ogiwara and Ikegami just need to get their head down, and Ayatollah too, if he's trying to break clear of the two chasers, Fleming and Idaka, who, incidentally, Idaka did set his personal best lap on that last lap. So clearly pace in P4 and P5 battle, but is it enough to try and get them into the podium fight?
We are hurtling as well towards the 2/3 race distance, so that'll be important, and that'll probably be in the minds of Ikegami and Ogiwara to try, and if they isolate themselves slightly, then perhaps even if they swap positions, it's still first and second for them. They're obviously battling each other, but it's better than perhaps being fourth and fifth if something was to happen. So they're trying to stretch the group. Ikegami again, wide sweeping line, that's in at turn 12. Then 13, 14, all on the right-hand side of the tyre. Tell you what, Ayatollah is honing into view in the background. This is not done yet, folks. Do not go anywhere. I think we're going to be in for a grandstand finish one way or another.
He's not finished yet. He is pushing hard, and you can see from the timing tower, he closed in 3/10 in that last split. He was nearly a second adrift in the second split, but he's only half a second down now as well. Is he going to be close enough to try and get a bit of slipstream? I reckon he is. He absolutely hung off the machine there around the final corner. 4 laps to go as we cross the line, and Ayatollah, just as we sometimes think that he's potentially out of the victory fight, he reels himself back in on the number 13. A great lap. The only rider in the 2:10s that time around was the number 13 of Ayatollah. He is not done yet.
He is not done yet, and he's going to have to not be done yet, because Ogiwara's just hit the front. We've just gone through 2/3 race distance, so if there was to be a red flag now, this would be exactly how it would finish. Ogiwara ahead of Ikegami. Ayatollah, the gap has just extended back out now to Tieran Fleming in 4th place on the number 10, and then Shingo Idaka is still battling with him there in 5th place. But all eyes on this lead group at the moment. The front 3 just outside. Nopapong Bumperaway is still making progress. He's now up into the top 7. He's cleared Chip Wirrelchat, so the 2 ties battling over 7th and 8th. But at the front, it's the 2 Japanese, the warring Japanese, as we've seen so many times already this year, back in Buriram race 1 and 2 of Ogiwara and Ikegami, the 16 of Ogiwara, the 14 of Ikegami, who at the moment have just got a little bit of pace over Ayatollah, who again runs wide just in the background.
Yeah, he's lost half a second more or less there as Ayatollah in that first and second split. So that seems to be the part of the circuit where Ayatollah is struggling most, in that second split, in the sort of tight and twisty little bit through 4, 5 and 6 up towards turn 7. And now can he try and bridge the gap? You can see there that the gap has opened up to over a second now. So it's either Ayatollah making a couple of errors, as we did see, or these 2 riders on the screen, Ogiwara and Ikegami, as Ayatollah just about keeps it on the racetrack there, just feints towards the green paint but keeps it upright, as Ayatollah unfortunately drops to over a second behind, 1.2 in that third split. So I think these 2 riders, Ogiwara and Ikegami, have now officially pulled the pin.
They have pulled the pin and they have got themselves on their own. So again, it might be a head-to-head here in race 1 at Lusail. It was a head-to-head in race 1 at Buriram, and then it was all a bit chaotic on the second race there with Haruki Matsuyama. Fastest lap of the race, and into the 209s we go as Ryota Ogiwara sets the fastest lap ahead of Ikegami. Down into the braking zone. Who's going to be later? It's Ikegami, is it? Oh, not this time. Ogiwara just doing enough to get ahead of his fellow compatriot. And now let's see what pace Ogiwara's got. We saw this back in Buriram, that he's able just to push on in the last part of the race. Let's see if he can put any distance between himself and the number 14 of Ikegami.
Impressive lap time from Ogiwara. 8 laps into the race, and he's only half a second away, a little bit more than half a second away from his pole position time. So fantastic stuff to really put the hammer down. Ikegami, fair play to the number 14. He's gone with them, but yeah, this is it now. This is the top 2 for the win, and Ayatollah now has to concentrate on keeping the 2 behind him. He was quicker than both of them on that last lap, was the number 13, as it looks like Fleming has just lost touch with Idaka as well. So this is going to be an intriguing last 2.5 laps in the fight for the final podium, and intriguing is one of the words we can describe the fight at the front as well between Ikegami and Ogiwara.
Yeah, the rivalry is certainly building. We're going into turn 10. Here comes Ikegami, gets that job done. Will Ogiwara take that late sweep? Yes, he does. Oh, and takes his line and almost his wheel away as well as they run over, tear off Vise on the exit to 11. Ogiwara not messing about here and definitely wants to be leading just in case of any uncertain or surprise red flags that might come their way.
Tell you what, that was aggressive, but firm and fair from Ogiwara. Did not want Ikegami leading the way. For a second, Ikegami looks over his shoulder, sees a whole lot of empty racetrack. These two are well clear now, 3.2 seconds ahead of Ayatollah. This is now where the race will be decided. A bit of a rehearsal down at the final corner. Ikegami goes for it. He's going to potentially lead onto the home straight as Ogiwara tries to get in the slipstream.
Important to note, does Ogiwara manage to get alongside him or ahead of him by the line? No, he doesn't. So again, Ikegami just getting that job done at the last corner might just give him the win. Look at the battle for third as well. Badly Ayatollah, well, if he finishes in the top 6, it's still a best finish of the year for him. It's joint best with Buriram race 1 when he was 6. He looks like he's on for a top 5, but in what position, I'm not so sure. That's Ayatollah we're talking about, out a shot in third, who was in this lead group up until a couple of laps ago, and now we have a couple of laps to go. It's still Ikegami ahead of Ogiwara, taking a little bit of time and a few points away from Ogiwara in the championship, and it would still be the 16 who leads the way as things stand, and that is a bold statement with 11.5 of ATC to go here on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, you're not wrong. How many times we've seen this? A fantastic battle for the race win, and you do feel for Ikegami this is crucial to try and get one up on Ogiwara, who beat him by less than a tenth of a second in both races over in Thailand. So this would be huge, you'd feel, for Ikegami to try and beat Ogiwara here on a circuit that Ogiwara has been quick at in the past. 2 years in a row that Ogiwara has been fast here. 2 podiums for Ogiwara, 1 here for Ikegami. Both of these riders really want that victory.
And look at Hidaka all over Ayatollah, trying to make it Japan 1, 2, 3 as well. So keep an eye on that battle. The number 21 of Hidaka versus the 13 of Ayatollah. He's going to go under him, he's going to go over him, he's going to go through him if he carries on like this. So it looks like Ayatollah's pace is just dropping off ever so slightly. You can see it's very much 2 groups of 2. First on the first group for the first place, and this is for the last place on the podium at the moment. Ayatollah still has it, but at the front it's Ikegami ahead of Ogiwara, and we have seen this movie once or twice before already this year.
It's bubbling up nicely, isn't it? Last lap time almost, turn 15, the left-hander, the penultimate corner. We mentioned this at the start of the programme. Get a great run out of here, and this is the final corner for the penultimate time. Ogiwara cleverly thinks better of it, didn't want to make a move. He wants the slipstream heading on to the final lap.
And he also didn't show his hand, so keep an eye on Ogiwara if push comes to shove at turn 16 then. Last lap time in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, and we have seen Ikegami versus Ogiwara twice already this year, and we are going to see it for a 3rd time. Who's it going to be? Down onto the braking area at turn 1. Ikegami just holds on from Ogiwara for the moment. Where is Ogiwara going to be looking to try and make that pass? He doesn't want to do it too early, but he can't leave it too late.
Thought about it at turn 2, but it doesn't come. Ikegami nice and defensive, got a good run out of turn 1, did the number 14. So turn 4 potentially through the fast right kick we go at turn 3. Is he going to get a good run out there? Is Ogiwara? I think he is, but I don't think he's going to be quite close enough. Is he into turn 4? No, not this time.
Smart ride in there from Ikegami, just about held on and running around the outside. Ogiwara can't go round the outside at turn 5, please. Whatever you do, this is down to turn 6, and very smart riding indeed from Ikegami. Holds position in the battle for 3rd. Ayatollah still has it at the moment according to my timing monitor. Let's see what it's like on the outside. No, it isn't. It's the 21 of Hidaka, so the timing tower for you guys at home is correct. That's 3rd place, and a Japan 1, 2, 3 at the moment for Hidaka, but all eyes on Ikegami and Ogiwara. Will it be turn 10 perhaps for Ogiwara? Does he want to do it now? Is he close enough? He's definitely got a run, but he hasn't got it on the brakes. Ikegami holds on.
Yeah, fair play to Ikegami, nice and defensive, pulling together a fantastic final lap, but Ogiwara is right there. He's going to get some slipstream through turn 11, the fast corner, and this is the run into turn 12. The fast right-handers, a triple of them, but Ikegami goes nice and defensive. It's all he leading up to the final corner, potentially. That is turn 12 and 13. This is turn 14, just turn 15 and 16 to go after this one, turn 14.
Ikegami was beaten twice by Ogiwara in Buriram. He will not want it to be a third consecutive defeat. On the other hand, Ogiwara, he's your championship leader, and there's a reason for that. We are coming down to the last corner. Will Ogiwara let the brakes off? Yes, he does. There's contact. He shuffles out of the way. Ikegami will not be too pleased about that, but Ryota Ogiwara is taking it again, and it is a third win in succession for the number 16, who just holds on ahead of Ikegami with a little bit of argy-bargy at the last corner. Hidaka takes third. It's an all-Japan podium. Ayatollah will have to wait for his first step into the top three. Fifth place for Fleming. Dakigan took sixth, and Chip Wirrelchat does fight back against Bumprawe in this battle for P7. Page Knight, Davino Brittani completing your top 10. The Asia Talent Cup delivers again.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. A final corner move, aggressive as it was from Ogiwara. It was a fantastic move, left Ikegami with nowhere to go on the run to the line. We mentioned it's a short run, of course, shorter than it has been apart from last year. Ikegami just taps the front end of his Honda machine. He knows that was a fantastic victory. Just kept it nice and cool. Ikegami, fair play to Ikegami, went nice and defensive all the way around that final lap, strung together a fantastic final lap in the lead of the race with the pressure on, but you might feel the experience of Ogiwara paid off slightly in the end. A fantastic final corner move, Marc Marquez-esque, but unlike Marc Marquez, on a few occasions, he managed to win the race as well.
Didn't run wide that time around. You can't help but feel a little bit sorry for Seiyuu Ikegami. Of course, had he won that, the gap would have been down to 5 points between the two. Instead, it extends out to 15, and that starts to, you got to stop the rot soon. That starts to get a little bit too much if it carries on like this, but Ogiwara, 3 wins in a row. I remember back in 2021, someone called Tayo Furusato went on a rampage in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Perhaps Ryota Ogiwara is trying to follow in his footsteps. Of course, Furusato coming up very, very shortly in Moto 3 qualifying. But here in the Asia Talent Cup, Shingo Hidaka, P3, and a very fine result as well for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously was in that P4 and P5 battle with Fleming. The two of them broke clear of the chasers at the start of the race and got their head down. Looked like they worked together, to be fair to them. A little bit of battling along the way, but did very, very well to bridge the gap to Ayatollah. And in the end, Fleming couldn't quite keep up that pace to mount a podium fight, but fair play to Hidaka, he did, and just about beat the Indonesian Ayatollah on the run to the line. A fantastic fight for the win and a fantastic fight for the podium. And
we have just had a little notification come up on our timing monitor that Chip Wirrelchat will be given a 1-position penalty due to exceeding the track limit on the last lap. Of course, you can't do it if you gain an advantage, but clearly they see that the number 24 did. So in the end, Nopapong Bumprawe, P21 to P7, fourth in the championship coming into this round. He'll be very, very satisfied with that. That's proper damage limitation.
Yeah, starting from the back of the grid, you can't expect too much more than getting into the top 10. So to finish P7 is a fantastic job, well done. To finish 12 seconds behind Dakigan, you feel that that gap will be bridged tomorrow when Bumprawe does start from P7, so he's going to have a better chance at trying to fight for the podium. But starting from the back of the grid, as I say, you can't do much more than collect those points in P7. So top job, a good comeback ride from Bumprawe.
Well, of the top 14, he was the slowest rider, which says something about how much fighting he had to do as well from the back of the grid. So, Nopapong Bumprawe, a very, very action-packed race. This is down in towards turn 6. Al, talk us through these pinch points on this last lap. Ikegami did everything right, but as all championship leaders do, they do find a way through eventually.
Yeah, did everything right until this final corner. You feel he could have potentially gone a little bit more defensive, but hard to criticise Ikegami, really. It was a fantastic late manoeuvre from Ogiwara. Just about kept it on the curb, and then Ogiwara got his head down and got a great one out of the final corner. Left Ikegami with no chance to get the slipstream on the run to the line and the checkered flag. So Ikegami, can't fault him really at all. Potentially not as defensive as he would like to have been, but he wanted, of course, to try and get a good run out that final corner as well. A difficult prospect coming into that final corner, but Ogiwara saw a chance, he pounced and he took it, and he took 25 points along the way. So the question now will be, can Ikegami respond tomorrow afternoon?
I think he's going to have to if he wants to have a little bite at this championship. But the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup then, your first race on the scorecard for the Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Qatar, and it goes the way of Ryota Ogiwara just by 41 thousandths of a second. It doesn't really get much closer, but you can guarantee that the Asia Talent Cup guys will give that a good go. Shingo Hidaka with a career first podium in third. It's a personal best for Ayutala. Fleming likewise in fifth, and Dakigan sixth. Noprapung Bomperway from the back of the grid there in seventh place. Chip Wirrell, Page and Brittany, your top 10. Your point scorers are Sartak, Chavan, Minjay, Mahendra, Daniel and Salem on his debut. Mahdi Salem, of course, down there in 15th place, just ahead of Hu Tri and Chen Shi Yu, the Vietnamese and Chinese riders. Shaf Marie is involved in an incident with Nelson Cairoli. That is still being investigated, but he finished 18th anyway. And out Pratham Tong and Haruki Matsuyama from the front row, keeping on the number 2, trying to come through tomorrow. Ogiwara leads the championship by 15 points. 37 back now is Bumperway. Even though he started from the back of the grid, he actually gains a place because Matsuyama fell on the opening lap. He's down to 5th. Dakigan's consistency puts him 4th. Hidaka's first podium moves him up 3 to 6th. Ayatullah getting good points on the board. He's there in 7th as we go right the way through the order here. Ricky Henry, as I said at the top of the show, out with back fractures but walking relatively all right. And he was replaced by Brody Page, who, as you can see, moved on to the championship point scorers leaderboard. So it's time for the podium. As you can see, it's Japan 1, 2, 3. I can tell you that moves them on to 198 podiums in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. That means that if we get 2 of them on the podium, they'll be the first country to hit 200. So landmarks are plenty to look forward to Sunday. If that does happen, Ikegami will hope it's not him who takes 200 honours, because he will want to be the 199th if he crosses the line first.
Yeah, absolutely will. Ikegami, I think we're going to see a disappointed young Japanese rider on the podium, but it's still a healthy 20 points. And if you can't beat Ogiwara, then the next best place you've got to finish is P2, and that's exactly what Ikegami has done throughout this season in the first 3 races so far. So I think he'll be relatively happy enough after this race, going away from it, picking up a P20, but he's going to be very, very hungry, as he was today, to try and get that first win of the season under his belt.
Shame for Haruki Matsuyama, obviously crashed out early doors. Didn't really speak much about him tomorrow. Massively important to try and get back some points that were lost today.
Yeah, obviously started from his debut front row today. Unfortunate crash down at turn 6 on the opening lap can easily happen. Let's not forget he is a rookie, so mistakes are going to happen, but Matsuyama definitely one to watch out for tomorrow. He will fancy being with his compatriots in this victory fight and podium fight tomorrow, that's for sure.
As you can see, riders making their way onto the podium. Contrast emotions in P3 and P2, that is for certain. Hidaka absolutely overjoyed with career podium number 1, and then Ikegami not so much. Ogiwara on top of the world. I think we're going to get ready for the national anthem. It's of course from Japan, not before some trophy handing out though, and as you can see, it will be all of them receiving them, P3, P2, P1, and it's a nice little silhouette, say, of the wonderful Lusail Circuit.
Yeah, I'm sure the top 3 would have packed a little bit of extra hand luggage to squeeze a trophy or 2 in there. The first trophy of Hidaka's Asia Talent Cup career, so that's great to see for the young Japanese rider. And another podium finish for second place Ikegami. He cracks a little bit of a smile.
He's smiling
there.
now, yeah.
That's good to see. He'll be smiling, I'm sure, later as well, but he'll be desperate to beat the rider who is about to receive another P1 trophy in 2025.
It's all right. I'm not sure they'll need the extra hand luggage. Qatar Airways are pretty generous. Look who's making an appearance. Ayagura. Well, Ayagura, of course, so much success in the Asia Talent Cup. Hands out your winning trophy to Ogiwara. It's his 3rd win. Now it's time for the national anthem. It's Japan. That's all as far as the Japanese national anthem is concerned, and there will be celebrations, of course, down in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup camp. And for sure, tomorrow, race 2 is going to be a thriller. Don't go anywhere. It's a little bit earlier on the schedule, though, but more on that later. We have got highlights from this opening race on the scorecard, as I said, here at the Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Qatar, and it was your pole sitter Ryota Ogiwara who absolutely stormed to the hole shot and got ahead of Ikegami, and a very fast starting number 21 of Hidaka from the middle of that second row. Down in towards turn 6 for the first time, and it would be the only time for Haruki Matsuyama. Tucked the front and down he went, and that was P3 in the championship, going up for grabs. Like in Buriram, Badni Ayatollah had come right the way through from well back on the grid. This time it was from just the third row, and it was up in the battle with Ogiwara and Ikegami, and it was really close between the three of them at turn 1 on more than one occasion. Coming down towards the last corner, Ikegami showed his card, something that Ryota Ogiwara did not do, and moved on through. But this was the final lap. Ogiwara barging his way through, a little bit of shoulder rubbing, and like we've seen since they've moved the start and finish, well, at least the finish line further up the grid, there's no room for slipstream, and Ogiwara makes it 3 from 3. It was the first podium of his career for Hidaka as well, but Ryota Ogiwara goes into Sunday on top. From myself, Kiko Giles and Elliot York, that is all for the Asia Talent Cup. See you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of the Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Qatar.